my idea behind this, and I want to explain why I'm doing this. First of all, I grew up with the sanctified Charles of Austria, and in his spirit, and with very close relationships to the descendants of Franz Ferdinand, which was Sarajevo, so the beginning of the First World War. And at the beginning of the First World War, we had about 150 male members of the family. And at the end of the Second World War, there were 5 left. So war is not a solution. And we always have to look behind why war is started. And in our time, in the last 100 years, war was started by international interests, by the financial side, by the industry, but also coming from countries like England, France, Germany, United States, and in the end, also politically by the Soviet Union. So we have to look back into history to find solutions. And what we are talking today is not a solution, because we talk of valuable soils in the Ukraine, which, in my opinion, may be there, but there are from old documentations out of the Soviet Union. So when you look at agreements which the current government made with Germany, France, or England, or even the United States, it all goes about those solid earths like nuclear weapons in the future, or lithium, or what other possibilities you have. And I pretend to say that this old study out of the Soviet Union, which was made in 1973, 1974, at the first big oil crisis after the Second World War, that this study is actually obsolete. It doesn't really exist. You might find here or there uranium or lithium, but not in those quantities to have a war. So we have to take that out of any communication of a peaceful settlement. So what is left? Left is one very simple idea, and it's very primitive, to be very honest. If you live in a house where you have 20 apartments and neighbors, and there's 1 or 2 neighbors you don't like, you fight the whole day because you don't drop your waste properly, or you don't clean your windows, or you have your washing hanging outside. So we have to find a solution in this apartment house to sit down and talk together and find a solution between all the 20. So who are those people we have to talk to? It's Poland, it's Slovakia, it's Hungary, it's Romania, it's Moldavia, it's Transnistria, it's Bulgaria, Black Sea, it's Turkey, it's Georgia, it's Russia and Belarus. So we have to talk to all those people to come to peace. And if those people or those administrators come together, United States can't say anything, France can't say anything, Germany has no interest, and England has no interest. So we have to make it very, very simple to understand how to create peace between people. And the reason why I come to this idea, it's very simple. Again, back in history. When Austria was under Nazi regime, my grandfather and my grandmother were under house arrest by the Nazis. So when the Soviets marched in, they knew that those people were not Nazis. And my grandfather got together with 3 other gentlemen, and they met the Soviets, and they made a peace agreement with them. And this peace agreement is the state agreement of 1955, because the Soviets accepted that this agreement was valid and held. There was no argument, there was no fighting, there was no other private agreement, not with an Austrian government, which didn't exist, and not with other private people. So, who signed this agreement? It was an officer from Liev, from Lemberg. So, a Ukrainian. So again, we had on one side a Russian or Soviet army and a Ukrainian officer who signed the agreement. So again, it's a door opener. We were contacted him, we met him, we talked with him about it. And it's a very simple thing to sit down and sign an agreement. And during the whole negotiation, it was translated between German and Russian. And how did the Ukrainian officer sign? With the German words, "So shall it be." He spoke perfect German, because he was still under the old education of Austria and Hungary. And he realized that when we talked with him, it was honestly and fair and without lies. And when we today sit down and listen to the news, doesn't matter from which country, it's lies. Yeah? Everybody from the mass media has to create a story to be the #1 in the newspaper or in television. And we are guided by those idiots. And they very often report something which is not true. And my personal background was I spent many years behind the Iron Curtain, and I learned to read the messages from people, and I learned to understand what they were saying secretly without being able to talk publicly, because they were under dictatorship. And I got more or less every day the message of how many people were killed in the Ukraine. And when I said that, and I said that today, that was in February this year, it's more than 1.5 million people killed in the Ukraine. You know what the answer is when you talk to people in public? You're a Putinist. Huh? You talk about dead people of one country. I didn't talk about one Russian dead. I talked about Ukrainian dead people. And then they mention you're a Putinist because you tell the true story. And that's another possibility which we have to look at. We don't want those dead people. Yesterday, it was 572 dead Ukrainian soldiers. Yesterday. And I get every day the figures, precisely. And it's not communicated. So what can we do? If we sit here and wait, and it's a message also to my friends from the Ukraine, we have to stop the war. Stop it. Stop shooting. Go back over the river. Otherwise, every day Russia will get another 5 their possession, and it's not going to go back. And that's the problem. We have to realize what the real situation is. And that was the second reason why I started this organization. It's called Ukraine World Forum for Peace and Reconstruction. I started it because last year on the 10th of March, the Pope said, wave the white flag. And I was so astonished that all the people from the Catholic Church went against him. Yeah? I mean, I'm sitting there, the Pope, the leader of the church says, wave the white flag, stop the killing. So I sat down and I went to Rome. I talked with cardinals who have been to Ukraine. I spoke to cardinals who have been in Russia. I spoke to cardinals who have been in Belarus. And they all said, we have to stop this. It will not get better. It will get worse every day. So that's the reason why I started this organization, the White Flag Movement and the Ukraine World Forum for Peace. That's the only thing I want to say. We have to get up, and also the individual Ukrainian has to stand up and say, we want to stop this. Because the people who are in the top administration, whoever they are, I'm not saying names, they are just as bad informed as the media in the West or the media in Russia. They don't get the right messages. They are not informed. It's like, I go back to the Second World War. At the end of the Second World War, Hitler was not informed what was going on. He never knew how many people were killed in Stalingrad. And if you've been in Stalingrad, you know what happened there. You know? So we have to change the mentality, and we have to do it from the outside, going inside of the Ukraine, and try to promote what we can do on a humanitarian basis. We can help here in the outside. Many countries have taken up Ukrainian refugees, Poland, Germany, Austria, Italy. We all have them here. And we're not enemies. We talk to them, they're honest people, they're correct, but we have to give them a chance to go back home and restart their country. And if this war continues, and it doesn't stop within the next 24 hours, and that was the message from Trump, I can stop it, because he thought with stopping deliveries and money and so he can stop the war. Yeah? But there are other forces in the background who do not permit it. It's the weapon industry. And when we hear today a lady like von der Leyen who says, I'm creating a fund of 800 billion euros. 800 billion euros. Just imagine what you can do. An Arab once said, if worldwide everybody would put 10 euros, only 10 euros, on the bank account, there is no hunger in the world. Yeah? So with 800 billion euros, we want to build weapons which are outdated. And that's also a lesson we learned from this war. We went in with tanks, and today it's drones. And yesterday somebody told me in China he saw a show with 80,000 drones flying in the air with symbols like somebody fighting kung fu or whatever. This technology is crazy if we continue like this. You know? And we have micro robots that can crawl into your house and blow it up. Yeah? So we're in a humanitarian situation which is extremely dangerous. That's one side. The other side, it's very good for a politician to stand up and say, I'm giving you 800 billions, Where does it come from? It doesn't exist. And when you look at the European law, the money is not there. Every country has to agree to it. And then we hear about the 30 or 27 countries of alliance. How many are there really left? 3. England, France, and Canada. Yeah. And they want to fight a multinational army of Russia, which has 1.8 million soldiers and can put up like that another 500,000. It's ridiculous. This is not going to bring anybody into a positive future. And I'm sorry if I'm saying things which hurt you as Ukrainians, but stop it. And you are the only one who can say, we wave the white flag and we stop it, we don't want to continue this. On the interests of other countries, it's not your interest to have a war. And it has never been. And I've been in Ukraine in and out for 15 years. I never met Ukrainians saying they want to fight. Never. So that's my message. And thank you for listening to me. If we can help you with artistic performances and bring people here or there or other places in Europe, we will try to do it as an organization. We have to work together, yeah. And I know how good artists you have, because the boy of one of my Ukrainian ladies who helps me in the house drives to Poland to listen to Ukrainian artists performing there, or to Lithuania. So they must be good, because if a 15, 16-year-old young boy gets into the Flixbus and drives up there, pays his pocket money, there must be something going on. And the children are our future. And that's how we have to see it. Yeah? So thank you for listening.